Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Wake and Take. It's been a minute, but it's your boy Jason, and we're here to talk about some football today. I'm going to be joined with a very special guest, so stay tuned for that. We're going to break into it. We're going to talk about what's going on with the show, and then we're going to talk about some stories from this offseason, and then we're going to get into our top buys and sells as we're heading into the ever-important true redraft season, little bit of kind of the off-season moves. Like, fantasy football is starting to come back to life, so we're here to give you the moves to make to come out on top before it's too late. So without further ado, go ahead, take out your coffee, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. All right, so I just want to talk a little bit about what's going on with me. You're probably wondering, Jason, we have not seen you on Wake and Take for a very long time. You know I've been putting the show on hiatus. A lot of things have been going on in my personal world. We don't have to go too much into it. Feel free to reach out to me if you want more. But this isn't a show about me. And it's kind of gotten to the point where I can't do this to the level that it needs to be done anymore. I wish I could. You guys are fantastic. It has been an absolute pleasure being able to host this show the last few years. But it's time for me to kind of hang up the microphone, hang up the camera, at least in terms of a daily morning show, because I just don't have it in me anymore, as much as it sucks. And so I wanted to look forward. You know, I am incredibly grateful to Player Profiler for giving me the opportunity to even end up on these airwaves. It started with Trade Gods, into Wake and Take, to guesting on all sorts of shows, and it's just been an absolutely incredible run. And I started out just doing nothing, and I kind of want to be able to give someone else the opportunity to do this. So I put out a little bit of a casting call. I met with someone. His name's Justin, and he just seems like a great guy. He's been behind the scenes at Player Profiler for a long time now, and I'm excited to bring him onto the airwaves for his first time. Justin, welcome to the stage. How are you doing?
Doing good, Jason. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. I'm very excited to kind of give you the opportunity to try broadcasting. This is something you talked to me, you've been wanting to be able to do, and you're finally at a point in your life where you can kind of take this risk and go on here. And so why don't you talk a little bit about yourself and your kind of fantasy football background and why you're here?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I just honestly, again, thank you. You've built something really special here with Wake and Take, and it's big shoes to fill. But I want to kind of keep the vibes and keep Wake and Take as part of like a morning routine for the Player Profiler audience.
Yeah, I love to hear that. It's important. The audience here, as you'll come to learn, they're amazing. They're always in the chat, asking questions. Great positive vibes to start the morning. And from my talking with you, it seems that you're going to be able to kind of keep that energy going. So I'm very excited to hear that. How long have you been doing this fantasy thing?
I've been playing fantasy since I was a kid. I was like 10 years old, begging my dad to let me into his league. I didn't really enter like my sicko phase where I'm doing way too many redrafts, Dynasty, best ball, all of that. That was about 10 years ago that I started doing that. And then I also did, like you said, I've been working with Player Profiler in the background, doing data collection, a little bit of analysis, writing short form videos. So been dabbling here and there behind the scenes.
Yeah. And now you're filling the shoes, you're hitting the true live streams, and I'm really excited to see what you can cook up. So why don't we get into it? Let's talk about the news. Let's show these people some of these buys and sells that you're thinking about at this point of the year, and show these people, the Wake and Take audience, what Justin is all about. But before we get into that, we do have to play a little bit of an ad. If you don't know it yet, that rookie guide is out. It's amazing. So why don't we hear about it?
Theo Greminger is gone. We wish him all the best, but he did leave for us a great gift, the 2025 Player Profiler Rookie Guide. That's right. It is here. It is beautiful. It will help you dominate your rookie drafts this year. It features 60-plus player breakdowns, written primarily by Theo Greminger himself, as well as our proprietary NFL draft grades and strategy and tactics for dominating your rookie draft this year. We have a composite rankings with Theo's rankings, Cody, John Lobb, Jagger May, and Jax Falcone. It's right there on Player Profiler. It's $20. You won't find a better draft kit. You certainly won't find a better draft kit value. So go get it on PlayerProfiler.com.
Definitely go get that. The draft kit, the rookie guide, all that stuff is out now. Go check it out. PlayerProfiler.com. Get the rookie guide if you still need some help on the rookies. But of course, get that draft kit as well. Good stuff. Should have played a draft kit ad. I don't know why I did the rookie guide ad. Rusty. What can I say? Anyway, man, let's get into it. I want to briefly talk about the news. Not like current. The Wake and Take hasn't been on in a minute, so I would like to hear from you, and then I'll give my take as well. One of your favorite stories from the offseason so far?
Honestly, it's not even fully fantasy related. It's just the pure chaos that is the Pittsburgh Steelers this offseason. They go out, they trade for DK Metcalf, who was a clear, redundant wide receiver to George Pickens.
Yeah.
They're saying, we're not going to trade him. We're not going to trade Pickens. And then all of a sudden, he's a Cowboy. We got the Aaron Rodgers yearly game of chicken where will he sign? Will he not sign? Is he retiring? Is he going to the darkness? I don't know. He signs, of course.
Yes.
And then the cherry on top, a couple days ago, Jalen Ramsey, Jonnu Smith trade, just the reuniting Arthur Smith and Jonnu, getting the older secondary player. Like, it's chaos. And I mean, they still haven't even signed TJ Watt. Like, what are their priorities right now? Like, all this to still go 9-8.
Exactly. That's the problem with the Steelers. And I vaguely remember talking about the Aaron Rodgers situation a few months back, just like, that's not a move the Steelers should make. It's just not. They have been in this quarterback purgatory forever. And Aaron Rodgers clearly lost a step last year. And he's not going to win you a Super Bowl. If anything, he's going to, like you said, hobble you to 9-8, 8-9, maybe make the wild card where you'll have a first-round exit again or a mid-first-round pick next year. At some point, they have to look themselves in the face and stop trying to steal wins. For a little bit of a pun there this morning, and just focus on rebuilding this franchise, because they're just like an average team, and you're not. It's impossible to get out of average, really. I'm a Michigan fan. We were like that for years until we just kind of went out, said screw it, we're getting Harbaugh, we're burning this thing down, and we're just starting over. And I'd like to see the Steelers start that. I do want to ask you a couple questions about the Steelers. Do you still want to get any of these pass catchers with Aaron Rodgers at the helm?
I think I'm still in on DK. His ADP I don't know what's going on with it. It's stuck.
It is.
And it's in a spot where it's not good, it's not bad. So I'm taking shots. I feel like DK's going to get his. It's the big type of wide receiver that Rodgers loves to target.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, there's just not much else there. Like, Jonnu's came in, he's a good target earner, but at the end of the day, they just run two separate sections of the field. So I'm okay with DK. And if Jonnu can push down further in ADP like he has been, I'm okay to take a shot there too.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I think DK, obviously an alpha, he hasn't necessarily had that chance to be the wide receiver one in a hot minute. So I am curious to see how much target share he's going to get and what those targets look like with Aaron Rodgers. I personally am trying to scoop up Roman Wilson in all the Dynasty leagues I can. Of course, already mentioned the Michigan fan, but last year's Senior Bowl, yeah, technically last year's. I'm always curious on how to phrase that, because technically this year's was the last one as well. But anyway, Roman Wilson crushed it at the Senior Bowl, was kind of the clear standout wide receiver there. Great athleticism. I think could be a very good complementary wide receiver too to DK Metcalf. I know there's not going to be a ton of pass volume, but I think that he'll be able to come up clutch, maybe good in PPR. Scott Fishbowl with this first down kind of bonus could be interesting. So that's someone I think that we should be trying to acquire pretty cheaply right now, because he's still on waiver wires, still available for next to nothing. I got him in like FFPC rookie drafts pretty late, since they have the free agent pool in a lot of those dynasty drafts as well. So that's someone I'm trying to scoop up. And if, like you said, with DK, you're right. He's accurately priced. So if you can get him for not too much, I'm on board there too. Is there anything else you want to mention the Steelers before I talk about a story that's kind of caught my eye?
I got nothing else on the Steelers.
Okay. All right. Let us know in the comments who you're targeting on the Steelers this year for fantasy, if at all. For me, I do want to give an honorable mention to Justin Fields becoming, segueing off the Steelers here, becoming the starting quarterback for the New York Jets. That's going to be very exciting to watch. I do, I'm pretty publicly still on the Justin Fields train and never gave up on him. I think that he is a very good fantasy quarterback. I still think he has a lot to prove in terms of being an NFL quarterback. But I think with the new head coach in New York, I think with all the surrounding talent, I really do think that this is a situation where he can succeed, especially for a fantasy lineup. So I want to give an honorable mention there. I think that that's going to be exciting. And I just love to see him kind of get the chance to be a starting quarterback again. Are you hyped about Fields?
I am. I'm in the same boat. I'm a Fields apologist. I feel like he even did a good job last year in Pittsburgh. Like, he didn't lose the job. They just kind of deferred it back to Russell Wilson. So I think you're absolutely right. I think he's got two talented guys around him that he can go ahead and help lift himself back up.
I agree. So I think that'll be fun. Just real quick, still get Justin Fields if you can. Although I saw his best ball ADP is pretty high right now, which is honestly blowing my mind. But this Rashee Rice story is really, really catching my attention. A little bit more recent. His trial has been set now for 2026. It really seemed that this was going to be the year he serves a suspension. At this point, I don't even think he's going to serve one. So, for the people that have held on to him, for the people that have bought him in Dynasty, I think it's going to pay off dividends. He's playing all of this year, and that was not the forethought heading into just a couple weeks ago. We were pretty much all expecting some sort of suspension. So to see him still be able to play again, and knowing that the trial is in January of 2026, there's going to be a whole offseason of distractions for the NFL to probably not even have to swing the hammer on him. So just the fact that there's totally different treatment for athletes and regular people is my most favorite story from the offseason. What are you thinking about Rashee Rice?
I'm kind of in the same boat. Like, I don't see anything happening. If it is, it's going to be very minimal next year. I mean, we've seen it now. Jordan Addison in a similar situation where it just keeps getting pushed and pushed and pushed, and then no one even really remembers what the big anger was all about. And so it just feels like it's something that's going to get swept under the rug.
Yeah, it's he's too good. The Chiefs are too important. And it's at a time of year where the attention's not even going to be on them. I mean, he could have the trial, and the Chiefs could go on another playoff run. He could have a huge playoff importance, and the NFL's going to be like, we can't do anything to this guy. So it's just congratulations, really, to everyone. And I'll have to kind of take the L, because I have not been touching Rashee Rice anywhere. I've been too scared. It seemed like a situation where the NFL could really, really make an example of him, but they have, like always, just not cared. And I just think that is kind of, I'm never caring about legal issues ever again. Just not. I mean, I'm sure there might be some extenuating circumstances. I'm sure there's some other Aaron Hernandez's in the future, but I think we'll know in that case.
A little extreme.
Yeah. I think when we're kind of towing the line, you should err on the side of doubt. Just like nothing's gonna happen. I'm going to get my fantasy points. And then if something happens, they'll be on my bench or whatever, and I'll just get Justin Watson or something. I don't know. But anyway, so that's kind of our thoughts on the offseason. Lots of great stories. I'm curious who you guys think what you guys think is your favorite story from the offseason. It's been kind of a firework-filled offseason. It's been really exciting to watch from the sidelines. I'm sure you guys wish that there were some wake and takes happening. But hey, we're here now. Justin's going to do an awesome job. We are going to have some buys and sells today. But I do want to talk about some buys and sells that we've made from this offseason. Some money moves that we've made personally so far. So, Justin, you play, obviously. So why don't you talk about some moves that you've made this offseason that you're really, really proud of right now?
Yeah, so one of the leagues that I'm in, one of the dynasties, it's actually with some of the player profiler regulars. That's like Cody Carpentier, Harry Snowman, Jay Mahoney. And I started as a productive struggle. Going into this offseason, I thought I was 1 year away still from really making that big push. I got a bunch of young guys that are like good, not great. And then we get to the rookie draft, and all of a sudden everyone's selling, fire sell. So I'm like, oh, let's just steer into the skid. So I ended up selling off Luke Musgrave, 2 seconds and a third, and I got back Devontae Adams, David Montgomery, and I still got a third back because always trying to wheel and deal to get some type of pick back.
Yeah.
And then later in the draft, I actually sent over Trevor Lawrence and a fourth for Ken Walker in a second. So I really just kind of, like I said, I had the young core of wide receivers. I got like Marvin Harrison, Rashee Rice. And I just wanted to kind of make that push to be, I mean, I'm one of the top 4 teams now. So I'm in that shot.
There you go. Love to hear that. I'm also trying to get Kenneth Walker. I can't give up on that guy. Now, we might have a discrepancy on who you traded to get Kenneth Walker, as we'll find out in a minute. But I like those moves. It's so fascinating every year around rookie draft season how you can just get these vets for nothing. It really is amazing. So props to you for swinging for the fences, getting Devontae Adams, getting David Montgomery, who ended the year kind of quietly because of his injury, but still going to be a massive part of that Lions offense. Dan Campbell loves him. And so, and then, of course, Kenneth Walker. We're now going into a truly run-heavy Seattle Seahawks era. I don't believe Sam Darnold's going to be able to recreate what he did in Minnesota at all. So I think that Kenneth Walker's going to have to step up big. So congratulations. I hope you win the league. You're going to have to update the audience on how that's looking. And shout out Harry Snowman. Shout out Cody Carpentier. That's awesome stuff. For me, one of these moves I actually made in the Wake and Take Invitational, which we're going to have to figure out how to fit you in there. And then in my home league, I had a few Brandon Ayuk shares, and I just swapped them for Ricky Pearsall. I was looking at my roster a couple months ago, and I was like, I don't want Brandon Ayuk, which I never want Brandon Ayuk. And I was thinking about who I could get, and I was looking around the markets, and Brandon Ayuk was still pretty much valued ahead of Ricky Pearsall everywhere, despite having the torn ACL in Week 7, and despite Ricky Pearsall ending the year with back-to-back 18-plus point performances and being like kind of a true alpha on that 49ers offense. So I was like, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to trade Brandon Ayuk for Ricky Pearsall straight up. Did it twice. I would have liked to have done it more if I could have. And I'm feeling pretty good right now. I think Jawan Jennings is kind of getting all the hype in the redraft circles. I'm seeing Jawan Jennings have pretty high ADP in best ball, but it's going to be Ricky Pearsall. They just spent that first-round pick on him last year. He ended the year very well. He has the actual profile to be the kind of outside wide receiver 1, whereas Jawan Jennings is just that guy kind of underneath, sneaky, and the clutch guy. There's a room for that, but Ricky Pearsall is probably going to end up being kind of the focal point in terms of the wide receivers. Of course, Christian McCaffrey's going to have a big year. Of course, George Kittle's going to have a big year. But I think Ricky Pearsall is one that's going to be a big part of this offense, and still not quite valued high enough, although he has officially passed Brandon Ayuk in pretty much any rankings you look at, so I'll pat myself on the back there. What are your thoughts on this 49ers offense?
I mean, first off, congrats on being the early adopter to that one.
That's me. The early bird gets the worm.
I mean, I think we're just going to see more of the same out of San Francisco, where they're just a high-powered offense. Like you said, they got Christian McCaffrey coming out of the backfield. They got Kittle across the middle. And I think that with Ayuk being out for a good chunk, it really does open up that opportunity for Pearsall to step into that alpha role there. I am more on the Jawan Jennings side, at least for this season, and I'm just kind of not sure. There's a lot of money tied in with Ayuk. He fought for that contract, and I just feel like when he comes back next year, it's just going to be a kind of a muddled mess. So I'm not as bullish on Pearsall, but I think the price points you got him, I think it was a good move.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't in on Pearsall up until he got shot in the chest and returned, and it was just like, that's like just so badass.
It's the dog.
I know, like he's got like 8 dogs in him, so I had to. He's got 49 dogs in him, if you will. So I wanted some more Pearsall on the squad. You know, you got to have that on your fantasy team. He's a good locker room presence, and I think that he's going to be able to really bring the energy up on all my rosters. So anyway, that's a move I'm very proud of. But let's get into some actual buys and sells. Let's start with you. Who are you buying first? I think there might even be a 49er on your list.
There absolutely is. I think that George Kittle right now is just an absolute smash buy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's tight end 6 on Keep Trade Cut right now. He's sitting behind Colston Loveland and Tyler Warren, and those guys haven't taken a single snap. And everyone's going to be scared off because of age. He's 32. Oh no. But let's take a look at another old tight end, Travis Kelce. Dude's 35, and from age 32 to 35, he's put up 15.1 fantasy points per game. So you're giving me a 2 to 3 year window of 15 plus fantasy points per game, which Kittle can absolutely do. For 3 years, I'll figure out my tight end room in the next 2 years. Like I think he's someone that if you have a chance, you go out, you buy. Especially if he's sitting on a team that's rebuilding, you're going to be able to get him for cheaper anyway.
Definitely. Getting Kittle off of a rebuilding team is an awesome idea. And yeah, I'm with you. Again, we just mentioned there's no Ayuk. We didn't really mention that Deebo Samuel was shipped away. When we have seen George Kittle's biggest games, it's been when there's no Deebo Samuel, let alone when there's no Brandon Ayuk. He's going to have a monster year. Hopefully he can stay healthy. That's kind of been one thing with Kittle, but I am definitely getting him in best ball. Incredible value right now in redraft. And if I can get him for the right price in Dynasty, which I think you can, you already mentioned the players ahead of him that I would rather have Kittle over. I'm all in. I think that that's a fantastic buy right now. He's going to be a stud. And we're in the middle of Scott Fishbowl season. That tight end premium, super tight end premium even, I think he's going to be huge for that because the first down bonus, the 3.5 PPR for tight ends, he's going to be a monster part of that 49ers offense. And I honestly do believe these San Francisco 49ers will be winning the NFC West again this year. Or I guess not again, but back to winning the NFC West. And I think that they will be a really good presence in the NFC in general this year. I think that last year was a cursed Super Bowl hangover year, and I think they'll be back. So nice buy.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I mentioned that, I may disagree with who you sent away to get Kenneth Walker, and that's because I'm buying Trevor Lawrence, especially in Superflex, but even in single QB leagues, redraft dynasty, I want him. As we know, he got that massive contract. As we know, they're bringing in a new coach, Liam Cohen. And so I think that things are going to get a lot better. And on top of all that, we saw Brian Thomas Jr. break out last year. And now they're bringing in Travis Hunter as well. Even you could argue adding De'Ami Brown is kind of nice too because they haven't had that speed, that field stretcher with Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. So I think that right now, if you look at Keep Trade Cut, he's sitting at QB 18. I think that that's an excellent price point for Trevor Lawrence. I don't think he's going to get any lower. He's behind Michael Penix right now, which even as a Falcons fan, I don't really get. Michael Penix hasn't shown what Trevor Lawrence has, and I know Trevor Lawrence has been disappointing, but he still does have 2 top 15 seasons in terms of points per game. And last year, the Jaguars as a whole were pretty much struggling, and he was playing through a slew of injuries. He had a concussion, an AC joint sprain, something with his back too, if I remember correctly, and then he had the shoulder injury the year before. It wasn't good. And so I think he bounces back this year with all the weapons that have been added, with the new head coach, and I'm looking to get as much Trevor Lawrence as I can on my squad.
I honestly, I love it. I didn't want to trade Trevor Lawrence. I just had a full stable of quarterbacks. I had Kyler, Caleb, Justin Herbert, and Trevor Lawrence. So I'm just sitting there I have too many.
Yeah. Now, well, and you get the pick upgrade, I think will be huge too. So, and that's quite a stable.
So I'm all in on your buying of Trevor Lawrence. He is criminally undervalued right now in Dynasty.
I think it's one of those things where the fantasy community is just so fickle. We get disappointed by a player. They haven't met expectations, which, Trevor Lawrence probably had the highest expectations an NFL quarterback has ever had. And yes, he's been disappointing, but he hasn't been necessarily bad. It's just not what we wanted. So I think that I'm calling the bottom. This is the floor for him. He may only go up a few spots. He may never be the mobile Trevor Lawrence that we saw in college, but I don't care. He's still the franchise quarterback. He still has great weapons, and that offensive line is getting better. The coaching staff is starting to get better, hopefully, so I'm in. Yeah. You mentioned another quarterback. I see him on your list. You want to talk about Kyler?
Yeah, I might be a little bit biased on this one, but Kyler Murray is another buy that I have. Similar points to Trevor Lawrence, where it just feels like there's fatigue with Kyler. Like, what has he done for me lately? He was hurt in 2023, 2022, so right now he's sitting at QB 15 on Keep Trade Cut. And, I mean, when the dude's on the field, he just puts up points. Every season he's either been top 10 in an overall finish or top 12 in fantasy points per game. So he's consistently up there, consistently running, throwing touchdowns. So I think that he's just another case of high expectations and not fully delivering, especially in NFL terms. Like, what has Arizona done since Kyler's been there? But he's another guy where his contract has him locked in. Like, they're not going to be able to get rid of Kyler for a while. And yeah, like, his rushing attempts dipped last season, but his efficiency went back up, yards per carry. He still put up 5 rushing touchdowns, and I've seen little snippets here and there where he says he wants to do more on the run. He wants to scramble some more. He wants to make things happen. So I think we can see another top 5 finish out of Kyler this season. And like I said, QB 15 in Dynasty right now, that's just an absolute buy for me.
Yeah. No, I love the Kyler Murray buy. I put Kyler Murray and Trevor Lawrence for my QB buy before, and then I was like, I'm just going to go with T-Law, but Kyler Murray is one that I love too. I think that, like you said, the fatigue on him has also kind of gone a bit too far. And some other things too, like he's been kind of slowly but surely working his way back from his ACL injury. I think that this year he will be like 100% Kyler Murray. We've got year 2 Marvin Harrison Jr. Trey McBride has truly been coming into his own. So I just think that this Cardinals offense is kind of primed to take a step forward. And even if it doesn't, Kyler's still going to get the fantasy points, as you mentioned. And Drew Petzing, he is under contract this year, but I think if he has another disappointing year, he's out, and the Cardinals are bringing in like an exciting offensive coordinator for once in 2026. So, this could kind of be the get in, see what happens this year before like a big explosion next year. And I'll add, I'm trying to get Marvin Harrison Jr. a lot too. I think that he's like wide receiver 12, 13 in a lot of places, which is still obviously pricey, but I think that he'll kind of at least produce at that value. So goodbye with Kyler. I like trying to get these Cardinals pieces right now. Let's see, where do I want to go? We're doing 3 buys and sells each, audience, and no, I'm not buying Kyle. Well, I am buying Kyle Pitts, but it's not one of my. It's not one. I've talked enough about buying Kyle Pitts. You guys already know that. So I wanted to go deep into my bag of tricks here, and I'll go with one of my sells. Well, my only sell, actually. Or maybe I should save it. Maybe that's a good heater. I'll save it. I'm going to save that one. So stick around for my sell. I wanted to do kind of a cheap buy, and I already mentioned Roman Wilson. I want to buy Jaylen Null, the wide receiver on the Houston Texans. I looked at Keep Trade Cut right now. He's sitting at wide receiver 54. And the other rookie wide receiver brought in is Jaden Higgins. He's sitting at wide receiver 38. 16 spots different in terms of just the position. Who knows how far in terms of players. And I just don't necessarily think they should be that far apart. They were teammates together at Iowa State. They were both very, very productive together. And while Jaden Higgins was their second-round pick, Jaylen Null was still taken in the third. It's not that different. And he's just more athletic. He's 5'10". He's nearly 200 pounds. He runs the sub 4.4. He's incredibly bursty. He's incredibly agile. And he crushed it at the Senior Bowl. I was there, boots on the ground. Ask almost anyone about the Senior Bowl, and Jaylen Null was the wide receiver. Like, the one that everyone wanted out of the Senior Bowl. He smashed and every single day. Every single practice, he was out there killing it. So, with his teammate there, too. Jaden Higgins was there. And Jaylen Null stood out more. So I really think that Jaylen Null is a very sneaky buy right now. I think the Christian Kirk presence is lowering his value. I think people think that Jaylen Null is going to have to beat out Christian Kirk. I don't necessarily think so, and even if that is the case, I think he will. Christian Kirk has been injured 2 years in a row. He's 29 years old. He's lost a step completely, and Jaylen Null really is a stud. I'm in on him completely. And lastly, Jaden Higgins and Nico Collins clash. They're like Jaden Higgins. They might do the Twin Towers attack. They might. But I think that Jaylen Null is going to be able to earn that starting slot role, which is going to lead to a lot more value or volume. And we're already seeing Tank Dell is looking like he's not going to be able to play much this year. So I think Jaylen Null is stepping into a very sneaky, high volume role with a great quarterback, CJ Stroud, on an awesome offense. Wide receiver 54. I think that's an awesome value. Any thoughts on my guy, Jaylen Null?
I think it's an absolute great call. He's might be suppressed by Christian Kirk in the beginning just because veteran deference. We see it every year. But I definitely think a couple weeks in, you get him in some throw-in trades, and then you'll see that snap share start to uptick. You'll start to see the targets start to roll in. And he just, like you said, he just fits into that Tank Dell role that we saw so much success with.
Yeah.
So Tank Dell was special, but I think Jaylen Null also special. So it's just, I think it's going to be a good mesh that you won't see the payoff until end of season or maybe even next year. But it's definitely at wide receiver 54. It's easy to just see it.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I wanted to do one kind of put the thinking cap one on. So there we go. Jaylen Null. Who's your last buy or sell?
So this sell, I want myself to be wrong, and it's more of like a market value sell than like I don't like this player sell. But it's going to be Chase Brown with Cincinnati. I'm full disclosure, drafting him everywhere in redrafts, best ball. I'm trying to just gobble him up everywhere. Like it's just the upside is insane this season. But in Dynasty, I just feel like his value is so fragile. We saw something very similar last season with Isaiah Pacheco.
Yeah.
Good offense. He's coming in. Like Pacheco was RB13 offseason last season. Chase Brown, RB12 this season. And then all it took was one injury, a handful of weeks off the field, and look at Isaiah Pacheco now, RB31, an 18 spot drop. Yeah. I mean, he's having to compete with Kareem Hunt now. Like,
hey, I will say Rashard Smith is a stud.
Rashard Smith. But I feel like they're just like a complementary, like Pacheco Smith, where they're not going to eat each other's touches. But yeah, no, Chase Brown, I think he's going to smash this season. So if you're a competitor, if you're going for the championship, hold on to him, ride the wave, enjoy the money. But if you are a couple weeks in and you feel like the season isn't going the way I want it, or if you're a full rebuild, sell right now or sell a couple weeks into the season. The value is at its absolute peak right now. He has no competition. He's got the high-powered offense. He's got the touchdown upside. He's got everything set up for this season. But all it takes is one ankle, one draft pick next year, and all of a sudden everything topples, and you're looking at RB31. So I'm looking to sell him. I'm looking to cash in while everyone's trying to ride the wave.
Yeah, I'm honestly with you too. One thing I wanted to note on our buys and sells, and I tried really hard, was to try to buy a running back. But one of the things that pretty much any Dynasty gamer knows is it's tough to buy running backs in the offseason. It's tough to sell running backs in the offseason. Like, I've been trying to sell Devon Achane in a few leagues, and I just can't do it. I just can't. No one wants to pay the price. But Chase Brown is one that people will. Sitting at RB12 on Keep Trade Cut right now, I see a few running backs that you could get probably in an even swap. Josh Jacobs, Kenneth Walker, Christian McCaffrey, James Cook, all below him. I think that's honestly a little absurd. We know that Chase Brown has the upside. We saw an amazing season from him last year, but they did bring in Samaje Perine, and they did draft Taj Brooks this year, who I think could be a sneaky handcuff, because I don't think Zach Moss is really going to play, and Taj Brooks does kind of profile as a nice bruiser back, so maybe he could get some touchdowns and kind of short yardage stuff. So, but anyway, I'm with you. Sell Chase Brown. I think that you could get a lot of better running backs or similar production or even better production running backs in the case of Christian McCaffrey if you're competing. I think that would be a great move. So good call. Honestly, all three of these. You're coming on to Wake and Take on fire. Great buys and sells, Justin. Let's see if you agree with my sell. I'm curious, and audience, you let me know too. I was looking at wide receivers. I was trying to get a sell. And there's a lot of players I would sell, but this one to me is reminiscent of last year where there was a lot of just overvalued rookies that are amazing players, but just starting off at kind of their 99th percentile outcome in terms of value. And I hate saying this, I see Travis Hunter at wide receiver 14 right now on Keep Trade Cut, and I really can't stomach that. I just can't. I would like to see it happen before I'm paying those prices, because some of the wide receivers around him, Marvin Harrison Jr., Jackson Smith-Njigba, Garrett Wilson, A.J. Brown, Rashee Rice, Tet McMillan, Rome Odunze, Devontae Smith, like these are like alphas, proven, are gonna get a lot of fantasy points on high-powered offenses. And some things going against Travis Hunter. One, he's the wide receiver 2 behind an amazing wide receiver, Brian Thomas Jr. He's going to be playing both sides of the ball. We don't know how much on either side. Even if it's every snap, he's still not going to be out of the gate great, I don't think. I think he's going to struggle a little bit. He is a cornerback first, after all. So I think that at the very least, he's going to lose value over the course of the season. And maybe he'll bounce back. I do believe in Travis Hunter as an insane athlete. I think he's going to be a stud. But right now, at this time, I'm going to be selling him and maybe perhaps trying to get him back later. Who knows? But I just think that there's a lot of value to be had at his price point that I think it's a risk, but a risk I'm willing to take in terms of moving on from him right now and trying to get some proven assets and really push the chips in instead of betting on a rookie that is, let's face it, a one-of-a-kind, haven't seen this type before, and it could go so many different ways on an offense with a new head coach, even though I'm buying Trevor Lawrence, but a lot of different things, too, that we don't necessarily know what this is even going to look like. And so just a little too rich for my blood. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think, the fact that he's over Tet McMillan right now is insanity to me. Like, Tet's locked in. Dude should have 150 targets this season, whereas Travis Hunter he's the 2. No matter what way you cut it, he's the number 2 at best.
Yeah.
Brian Thomas there, and like it's so funny, like seeing like your buy of Trevor Lawrence, QB 18, but yet he has Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter both in the top 15 wide receivers.
Right.
Like, what are we missing here? Like, either we're wrong on one of the receivers or we're wrong on Trevor Lawrence. But I don't understand that. So yeah, definitely think wide receiver 14 is just too rich. But I do think he kind of belongs a little bit lower. Like I feel like in that Rome Odunze, Devonta Smith range, I feel like that's a better spot. So just a couple spots below, but I feel like 14 is just like a ceiling.
Exactly. Yeah. I think he will probably settle around that Rome Odunze, Devonta Smith, probably still behind them because I'm maybe right around Devonta. I'm pretty high on Rome Odunze this year, but yeah, those like elite wide receiver 2s, that's going to be awesome. Now, if you have IDP scoring, I'm not selling Travis Hunter. You know, that changes things. I took him in the first round with Scott Fishbowl. I decided to have fun. So I definitely think that there is a chance for Travis Hunter to be a stud. I just think we're already valuing him there. And like I said last year with Caleb Williams, when he was like QB 6, I was like, I don't care if he ends up being elite. I'm selling him at that price right now. And that's how I feel about Travis Hunter right now. I think he's going to lose some value. I don't think he's going to be able to be like truly the Travis Hunter that we saw at Colorado last year immediately. Like, it's the NFL. There's going to be a learning curve. He's not going against Pac-12 corners, you know? Like, there's so many different factors here. So right now I'm selling him. I think he'll be good. But right now, his value doesn't meet the production that I'm expecting. So Those are our buys and sells, everyone. Good stuff, Justin. I'm going to put you on the spot. I didn't put this on the show sheet, but I like to get hot takes from my guests, and I want to see you think on your feet. Can you give us a hot take? You got one?
I'm trying to think of something real spicy to go ahead and, a good kick of espresso here to wake everyone up. But I think what I'm going to have to go with is Josh Downs. I think that he's going to be a top 20 wide receiver this season. I think he's going to really take a step, especially if Daniel Jones is the quarterback. I think he's just going to be that primary read. Jones is going to panic. He's going to look for Downs, who's going to be open every time. And he's just going to go ahead and be an absolute smash this season.
I think that Josh Downs will have a good year. No matter who's at quarterback, I'm going to put you on the spot again.
Got me sweating.
Who starts more games for quarterback next year for the Colts, Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson?
For the Colts, is neither an option? Are either of them on the team next year?
You could say they go get Joe Flacco back.
I 100% think that next season, neither one of those guys are going to be the primary starter for the Indianapolis Colts.
I'll go hot take. Final hot take on Wake and Take. As the host, the official host, Anthony Richardson earns the starting job and becomes the franchise quarterback for the Colts. Again, he earns our trust this year. Get Anthony Richardson while you can, ladies and gentlemen. Justin, thank you so much for joining. It's been fantastic. I'm very excited to see you take Wake and Take, make it your own, and I'm going to be watching from the sidelines and the kind of in the sky as well, as I'm still going to be here behind the scenes, and maybe I'll hop on as a guest here and there as well. But just tell the people where they can find you and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, and thank you so much, Jason, for building me up right now and for giving me this opportunity. You can go ahead and find me on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, at JOwens_FF. And yeah, I'm really excited to kind of keep the torch burning on Wake and Take here.
Of course. I'm very thankful for you for stepping up and taking this over. Very excited to see what happens. And everyone, be nice to Justin. Give him a nice warm welcome. Go give him a follow. And make sure to continue tuning into Wake and Take. It's going to be a great year. Everyone, I cannot thank you enough for the years and the memories. You've been fantastic. It's bittersweet. Signing off for the final time as the host of Wake and Take. It's been Jason. Have a good one. Peace.
From the Podfather to you, I deeply appreciate you tuning in. And many ask, what can I do? What can I do to help support the host, the research they do, the production costs? Go to PlayerProfiler.com, Dynasty Deluxe, World Famous Draft Kit, Rankings, DFS Dominator, and of course, data analysis. Subscribe to any one of those, and you support all of us and take Player Profiler to the moon.